Hello and welcome to this live training. Really excited about today's training. It's one of the topics that I know a lot of people are worried and curious about. So I'm really happy to be here and talk to you today. If you are with me live, let me know in the comment section if you can see me and hear me so that I know that we are ready to go. Because sometimes we're experiencing technical glitches, but I feel like this is set up and running now. Okay, so I can already see Rocky is here. Hi, Rocky. Hi, Ruchi. Yes, so I think you can hear me and see me. I will just quickly put my slides up here because I really want to make this short and sexy so that you get the most value out of it in the shortest time possibly. So I think you can see my slides now. We are going to talk about why Medium isn't really dead and what most writers are getting wrong. And it's most of the time, it's not even the fault of the writers. It's just so many misconceptions. It's a lot of details that a lot of people are overlooking. And I know how confused I was when I started. When I started on Medium, there have been so many terms, there have been so many numbers, there have been so much information. I know that it was confusing for me and it was not obvious whom I can listen to, whom I should ignore, what type of advice is actually valuable and effective, and what type of advice is kind of bullshit. So I hope that this session is going to help you to gain that type of clarity really quickly. All right, so I can see your beautiful comments. Hi, Marion. Hi, Olga. Amazing. So let's dive straight into it. So I have my slides here. I have made a ton of notes, and I will start with a big bang, probably. So as I said, the topic is Medium being down, Medium views are being down, etc. And I want to share that I'm not here to cheer on you and tell you that everything is super and everything is amazing, etc. I want to share the truth with you. And the truth is that views on Medium or on the Medium website overall are down. So if you compare it to last year, Medium itself has fewer views and website visitors. That's not a lie per se. Now I will tell you why it actually doesn't matter in a few seconds, but this is, I'm not an SEO expert. I'm not a website traffic expert or anything, but these are just some numbers I looked up on the web just today. And it is true that the website visits are down. And it's interesting, but what most people don't understand, that it doesn't actually matter for your specific earnings on the platform. It might matter for your views, but it shouldn't matter for the overall performance. And there are actually a ton of reasons for that down on Medium. And obviously nobody knows it exactly because this is data from millions of people across the globe. But there are a few obvious reasons for that down. First of all, last year we had a ton of events, right? First of all, COVID, we had a ton of information about COVID and the pandemic on Medium. So a lot of people came to Medium to read specifically about COVID, about what's happening, about from different types of authors who just started to share their knowledge on the platform. We also had the US election. We also had a ton of other events, actually. Last year was full of events, was full of chaos and drama. So Medium is just a relevant place where people go to look up information. And apart from that, there's also been a ton of really huge articles. I don't remember the title actually, but maybe you've seen it. There was a huge article about COVID at the beginning of the pandemic that was actually translated into multiple languages. And that article was viral in English, but it also, it went viral all across the globe, and tons of people came to Medium to read about the topic. That's just one factor. Apart from that, people also had more time, obviously. So not everyone, but there are a lot of people who are, living alone, and there are a lot of people who suddenly didn't have their commute time, or they didn't have the time they lost because of certain activities. So people just spend more time online. If people are getting back to their normal lifestyle, they might have, less time to scroll through articles and pages online. It's also that we have basically had summer, right? And in summer, it's just totally normal. You can also see the down here, actually. I think it's just a normal part of the game that you have more people being outside and enjoying life, away from screens during summertime. I know this is not super typical for the US, and that you don't have that, super typical summer break, but in Europe, it is typical because we just have fewer hot summer months, and people in various places across the globe are just used to having that summer break where they work less and it's just harder to reach people in business terms, etc. And I also believe, and this applies to me at least, that we are just sort of a bit tired of media and news, especially because of the whole COVID stuff. So I know that a lot of people have been tired of Medium, especially because they have been publishing so much information about COVID, which is not good or bad, but I feel like people were just, consciously or subconsciously tired of consuming so much information that they've just consciously wanted to take a break or didn't want to see all that stuff anymore. All right, and let's move on here. So I just saw a question. So Olka asked, what website did you use to check traffic? These are just various websites. So this one was Ubersuggest. This is a different one, and the numbers are quite different, actually. This is similar web, but I wanted to show you this screenshot as well. I just wanted to let you all know, maybe you're not even aware of that Medium is one of the top, or it's the 333rd most visited website, which is a beautiful number, but I just wanted to show you how powerful the website itself actually is, that, it's one of the most, 350 most visited websites globally. That's a huge number. And I think if you look at the overall development, we don't see that super sharp, dramatic decline, actually. Yes, views on the platform or on the website are down, but it's not as dramatic as people make it sound like. It's more a shift in terms of views. And the reason you are seeing so many people saying my views are down and my earnings are down, etc., is actually a bit different than what it seems like. Because even if a lot of people are experiencing the down, the people you hear talking about the downs are always bigger writers, or writers who have an audience. And if you see those bigger writers with an audience talking about the downs, it just sounds more dramatic, and you feel like you don't have a chance to make it big on the platform, even though that's not true. It's just a misconception, and it's not the full truth, to be honest. And that's why I want to share a bit more on that topic actually with you, because what a lot of people don't understand is that views being down on the Medium website per se, like what I showed you here, that decline that we see here, actually doesn't matter that much for you as a writer who is aiming to grow his income or audience or business on Medium. And that's something a lot of people just miss when we have that conversation about Medium, declining or views declining, because you make money on Medium because people are paying the membership fee, right? Readers are paying $5 per month or $50 per year to log in on Medium and to be able to read everything that's on the platform. If you don't have that subscription and if you're logged in, you can only read 3 articles per month. So people are paying that membership fee, and that membership fee is then split up among the writers whose content the person read. So if I am paying $5 and I read 2 articles in that specific month, I read an article A and I read article B, my $5 are split between writer A and writer B. If I read 100 articles, each writer obviously gets a smaller share. But if I only read 2 pieces, the share per writer is bigger. And that's what's mostly happening because if people are still paying the membership fee, and this is something I'm actually convinced of, we don't have the official numbers. I will share some numbers, but we don't have official numbers on how many subscribers Medium has, because they are not officially sharing that or publicly sharing that. But I will share a few other numbers actually in a few seconds. I am 100% sure that there's not been a sharp decline or sudden decline in paying members, because it's not easy to get someone to pay a subscription fee, even though Medium is doing that really well. But once they paid, and once they are used to it, they will not unsubscribe most of the time, unless they really don't get any value out of the platform at all. But most people who have been subscribed like a year from now are probably still subscribed. At least that's not a change in terms of, that could not be the reason why earnings on the platform are declining. And that's the most important part, because if you're talking about earnings, and I know that's a relevant factor for a lot of you, if we're talking about earnings, this is the important number. How many subscribers does Medium have? This number in terms of, how many views does the website have, it's not really relevant, because we only care about people who actually pay the membership fee and who pay to see our articles, if we are talking about earnings, right? And that's just the part of the conversation that's left out pretty much everywhere. And I have just done a very quick research, and again, Medium is not sharing those numbers, but I found an article from March of this year where, and I have seen that number somewhere else too, so I believe it is true. But the author basically wrote that in March, Medium had 725,000 paid subscribers. So you basically have to multiply that by $5 per month to realize how much money Medium actually has in that bucket to share with the writers. And so they had 400,000 in 2019, and almost double of that in 2021. It seems like they wanted to reach 1 million subscribers by 2020. That obviously didn't work. I don't know where they are right now. So from March until today, I don't know how significantly they grew. Obviously, that's the biggest, hope of me personally, at least. I hope that Medium is going to invest more into bringing readers onto the platform, because right now Medium is doing a lot to bring writers to the platform, which is also nice, because Medium is trying to incentivize writers to bring more readers to the platform, for example, through the referral links. But I hope that they are going to invest more time and money into actually bringing readers to the platform, because they have a lot of opportunities to do that, right? And this is the important number. And, if a few people will always unsubscribe, there is always going to be that fluctuation. But the only reason, or the only valid reason why earnings could be significantly down is if a lot of people would suddenly cancel their membership. And if that would be a significant number, well, Medium would probably have a real problem, because a company like Medium is all about growth for themselves as well. They have investors, they have a lot of stakeholders. They need to grow. They need to figure out how they can be better next year in terms of numbers than they've been a year before. So if they had those sudden unsubscribes of readers, then we would probably realize that, because that would be a real problem. But I don't see any hints on this happening right now, or that this happened in the past few months. And this is the important number, because as soon as people are subscribed, and as soon as they are reading a few articles per month, even if they are not spending too much time on Medium anymore, it's pretty much the same for writers. The ratio might be different. Other types of writers might be earning more. New writers might benefit more from the algorithm, or from joining the platform overall, even though that's not, nobody can really prove that. But still, that's the important number, and that's what I think everybody should actually be aware of when they're talking about Medium doesn't work anymore, Medium is down, views are down, etc. Because the truth is that it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so let's move on here. I did a few more screenshots just because, I think it's nice to see that. So these are three of the top publications. I chose them pretty randomly, but I just looked at the archive page. So every publication has an archive page, and looked at their best performing articles of this year. So it was 2021. And you can see a bunch of big hits there. And what's true is that in the past, or looking at last year or even 2 years ago, this was more common, so it was easier for people to have those super big hits. At least that's what people say. I have only started writing on Medium seriously at the beginning of last year, so I don't have the experience of the past 3 years or the past 5 years. But people say that it was easier or more frequent to have those super big hits before. Maybe it's not anymore, but these are all articles that made several $1,000s for the writer. And you can see that most of them are from March, or we have February here, and we have 1 June. That's also kind of normal, because the longer an article is on the platform, the more views, the more claps it gets. So yes, the top articles on those pages are not from last week, but I think that was not a common thing last year either. Just want to show you that there are still a ton of big hits doing really well on the platform. I know some of these writers, I don't know most of them. So it's not even only big name writers, even though it's also normal that big writers who already have done the work for years or months and who have built their audience are doing especially well. That's just the normal part of the game. That's actually also something I wanted to address, because when I announced this stream, I saw a comment that said something like, yeah, but you have 40,000 followers. And I feel like people are not aware of the fact that every single writer or creator or entrepreneur on the planet starts with 0 followers, and everyone you are looking up to started with 0 followers. But I'm not going to be ashamed of having my followers now, because I worked my ass off to have them. I have published almost 500 articles online in the past years. I'm not going to, deny the fact that I did the work and built my audience. If you see comments like that, or if you think that stuff yourself, just question why you're thinking that. Because do you think you will ever join a platform and automatically have the audience? I can guarantee that's not the case anywhere. And that a platform like Medium makes it incredibly easy to build your audience and build an income. Because any other type of business will require hard work as well. You cannot show me any type of serious business that is reliable and just makes sense and makes money that doesn't require work. So just leave that out of the conversation. When we're talking about someone having a lot of followers, you just need to be aware of the fact that they started with 0 followers as well. All right, so what I also promised you is to share my September earnings. And if you've been following me for a while, actually, you probably realized that I'm not sharing much of my earnings or article-specific earnings anymore, simply because I don't want to do that. But I felt like this is important and in this conversation, because people are just getting things wrong. And of course, I know that a lot of big writers have problems with their earnings. I'm talking to them. I know that they are experiencing a decline in views, a decline in earnings, and a lot of people are asking me if it's the case for me too. And I just want to be transparent here and show you what's happening for me. So I published 1 single story in September. That was not because Medium doesn't work. It was not because I don't want to write on Medium anymore, but it was because I had a different focus. I had a product launch. I launched the Freedom Business Accelerator. So I was fully focused on creating that program, creating the launch, and I just didn't have the time or the mental capacity to write. And it just didn't matter, because the way I manage my time in my business is that I always have focus areas. And for September, my focus area was just not writing, because I didn't need the earnings. I didn't need the email subscribers. I just decided to do something else with my time. And it's not that I will keep that. I will go back to writing now. I just wrote 3 stories this week, so I will go back to a regular publishing schedule. But this happened in September. It was just 1 story because it was just not my focus area. And what happened is that I had this 1 story and I made a little over $2,500. And of course, this is less than what I used to earn and what I always shared. It's way less than what I earned last year or at the beginning of this year. But if I compare it to how much time I spent writing this one article, and I'm a quick writer, so I need an average of 2 hours per article, especially with business articles. I'm really quick because I'm writing about my own experiences. It takes me a bit longer for personal development articles because I'm doing more research. But for business, I can easily write an article in 1.5, 2 hours because it's mostly, or it's 95% of it is my experiences and what I did personally. And if I look at that ratio, you know, how much time I spend and how much effort versus my earnings, I don't see that decline because I know as soon as I get back to a regular publishing schedule, I can, you know, increase my earnings again because it works the same way for me. And I don't believe that this is just for me. I believe that there's actually a misconception about the fact that, like, a lot of people think that what used to work just doesn't work. But if it doesn't work, then you just have to do something else. If you see that something doesn't work and you keep doing it just to prove to yourself or to your audience that it doesn't work, well, you will end up being frustrated over and over again. I think that's just not a good strategy. And you know, there are certainly people who are doing very well on Medium right now who don't have tons and tons of followers. If you do some research, you will find a ton of people who have quit their jobs this year because of their Medium earnings, because they're decided to build a writing business or to build an online business based on their writing, etc. And if big writers are not succeeding the way they used to succeed, they should probably have a look at those new writers and ask themselves what those new writers are doing differently. Because these new writers are probably not biased. They are probably writing in a little bit of a different style. Maybe they have their own touch. Maybe they're bringing new insights and lessons and learnings into the conversation. Because what I often see with big writers is that they write the same thing over and over and over again. And it's okay because at some point they've been used to the fact that they do the same and it always works. But if it doesn't work and you keep doing it, there's just a mismatch. It's a little problem, right? All right, let's move on here because I have a few more numbers I want to share with you. Exactly. So one of the reasons those misconceptions happen in terms of views are down, earnings are down, etc., is because people look at vanity metrics. People look at followers, at claps, and they say, oh, big writers don't have a lot of claps anymore. Big writers are not earning that much money anymore. And I just had a look at a few of my most recent articles, and I just wanted to see how they're performing, how much money they are making, etc. And I found this one, which is one of my latest stories. Obviously, it's from August 18th, because I didn't publish much in the meantime, right? So I told you I just published one story in September, so I don't have many stories to look at from September and August, but this was in mid of August, and this story already made more than $1,000. The thing is, you wouldn't think of that, or you wouldn't think that it's a super viral or well-earning story because it doesn't look like that. It only has 3,500 claps and 30 comments. Like, if you look at that, it doesn't look super viral. And that's because certain audiences and certain publications are just not used to clapping a lot. They're not used to commenting a lot. Personal development and personal growth is one of those topics where people don't engage that much with the story. And that's why claps don't really tell you much about the success of a story. Exactly like followers not telling you anything about the success of writers, actually. You can find a ton of people on Medium with a ton of followers who are not even making $1,000 per month. Most of the time, that's because they gained their followers years ago. Like, they gained their followers back in 2015 because there's not been a lot of competition. And I actually looked up another story just to prove to you or show you why this happens, and that this is actually a real problem, because I have another story here, which is about how to make money on Medium. And if you've been on Medium for a while, you know that how to make money on Medium types of articles get a lot of engagement, especially if they're written by someone who actually has success on the platform, right? And this is the reason why a lot of people think that you can only make money on Medium if you write about Medium, which is the biggest lie and the biggest misconception ever. Look at the numbers here. So this story has almost 7,000 claps and it made $170. This one has half of the claps, but made more than $1,000. And the problem is that people scroll through profiles, they see this story, they think that it's okay, it probably did okay, but it's not anything special. Then they see this story and they think, wow, this is a super well-performing story. I should write about writing, or I should write about how to make money on Medium, because that seems to be the way to go. And it's such a huge misconception. And I see people doing this over and over and over again. But what they don't understand is that if you're new to Medium and nobody knows you and nobody knows why they should listen to you, you will not make $170 with such a story. Or you will not be able to write such a story in the first place because you will not have the results. Like, I think this is as clickable as it gets. That's a super big title. And I've been able to write this because I have the results to back it up. But you need to be aware of the fact that these numbers that you see on the front end, like the clap numbers and the comment numbers here and here, that this is not what you should consider to be research. If you don't know the back end, meaning these numbers and these numbers, you will make a lot of mistakes because you will not understand the dynamics and the rules of the platform. And that's what matters ultimately if you want to make money and if you want to build an audience. And if you constantly write about how to make money on Medium or about other topics that you think are popular without doing proper research, you will just be disappointed because you will not understand what's happening on the back end for the writers who succeed or who seem to succeed with those articles. All right, so I have seen a bunch of questions in the chat box. I will have a look at them at the end of the session. Let's go through the slides first because some of your questions might be answered, and then in the end, I will take some time for them. So I hope this gave you a bit of clarity, but the way I see it, you always have two options, or especially in this situation, you have two options. You can either complain and you can constantly change your strategy and you can constantly question what's happening and kind of be worried, or you can just embrace the fact that Medium is always changing. Medium will always be changing. There's probably not going to be a single quarter ever where Medium is not going to make a change. It's just the nature of any social platform, of probably any big business or any business that has that high aspirations and big plans to change. And they are surely going to change a lot next year too. You can embrace that fact and just go with the flow and use that to your advantage, or just at least not complain about it, or you can keep being worried, keep being stressed, and keep complaining. But honestly, my point of view, or the way I see it, is if you are constantly complaining and if you are constantly angry about the platform, ask yourself why you are even writing there and if you really want to keep doing that. Because imagine having someone in your life who is making you angry and frustrated all the time. It would probably be a good choice to just let them go or to remove them from your life. And if you are always angry and frustrated about Medium and your earnings and you're constantly complaining, maybe it's time for you to leave, because maybe the platform is never going to make you happy, no matter how many views you get and how much you earn. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's more of a personal lesson where I would never let something be part of my life if it's having a negative impact on my life. And if you feel like Medium and what you're experiencing on the platform is having a negative impact overall, well, why do you even bother? Maybe there's another place for you that will make more sense. It's just something to think of that I feel like most people don't talk about. But if you are so frustrated about your progress, which is what I see with a lot of people, maybe it's just not the right thing for you anymore. Just, think that through. And if that's not the case, maybe you just want to look at the bright side and see how you can make the most out of it. Because as I showed you, you can still make a lot on the platform. You can do a lot. You can create great results. It's just about how you want to embrace it and how you want to move on the platform. All right, so I have just summarized a few tips that I think are necessary if you still want to do well on Medium. And the first one is actually I would focus on a specific niche. If you write about anything and everything, it's going to be really hard to build your audience because you will compete with too many people. If you are really good in writing about a specific niche, you can aim to become a go-to person in that niche. And the other thing this does is it helps you, or it enables you to build something bigger off Medium. If you're a really good writer in a specific niche, it's easier for you to build a proper online business. It's easier for you to sell products and services. It's easier for you to win writing clients if you want to do that. If you want to write for brands, or if you want to do ghost writing, people are always going to choose the type of writer who is specialized in something instead of choosing a generic writer. And that's just something to keep in mind when you are still new or when you feel like you're struggling. As I said, try to become the go-to person, not just for readers, but also for people who might be scrolling through Medium looking for a speaker, or looking for someone to write a book, or looking for someone to edit their articles or whatever. If you're really good at what you're doing, you will inevitably attract people who want to work with you and who hopefully are willing to pay for your services. The next is focus on building genuine relationships, and this comes actually through the value you provide in your articles. Like, that doesn't mean that you should write comments or that you should message people, but focus on writing articles that are really next level. There is a lot of average stuff on Medium. There's a lot of bad stuff on Medium. If you can be, 5% better than the average, you are going to stand out. And of course, it is hard to judge what a good article is and what a bad article is. But if you've been reading and writing for a while, you should actually be aware of that. And the best way to build genuine relationships with your readers is by constantly showing up and writing good articles. If you do that for long enough, you will be recognized as someone in that specific field who has something to say. And also, go a little deeper. Like, most articles on Medium are written poorly, but also the message is poor. Like, nobody wants to read an article that says something like, 5 ways to be successful. Number 1, build a morning routine. Number 2, work out every day, etc. Like, don't be generic. Go a little deeper and tell people something that they've probably not heard 100 times in the past already. All right, next step, I encourage everyone to build their email list. If that's especially for everyone who wants to keep making money online. If you don't care about the money part, if you just want to write, well, keep on writing. But if you are somehow interested in monetizing what you're doing, build your email list as soon as possible. That's just your biggest asset. You will never regret building your email list. That's something I can promise. And focus on numbers and goals that actually matter. That's what I showed you in the screenshots. Don't look at vanity numbers like followers or claps, and don't use them to change your strategy or do weird things based on numbers when you don't know the actual backend. That's why I showed the numbers from the backend for my stats page with you, so that you are aware of the fact that you don't always see the full truth when you're looking on a page or seeing followers or claps. It's just not the entire reality. And last but not least, if you are all about monetizing, if you want to do this full time, or if you want to leave your job or really turn your passion into something profitable, start thinking about how to build a business on top of your writing as soon as possible. Whatever it is that you're doing, you might want to build your own brand, you might want to sell products or services, you might want to write books, you might want to write for other people, you might want to collaborate with brands, you might want to do ghost writing. There are thousands of opportunities of how to do that. Just keep it in your mind when you're doing this. If you want to do it full time, or if you want to spend more time on this passion of yours, which is sharing the message you have, always keep that in back of your mind. How can I use what I already have to build something bigger, possibly? So always make backups of your articles when you're not, if you're not doing that yet, always, copy paste your articles into a Google Doc or whatever. Or you can also regularly download all your Medium articles. Just make sure to never lose all of that momentum and all of the stuff you already created. It can be your biggest asset one day. And last but not least, and this is also something I don't see a lot of people talking about, but keep in mind that writing itself is a superpower. If you know how to write well, you can find a way to make money like all the time. There are good writers are so valuable and precious. You can write social media posts, you can write for clients, you can write for your own products, you can write tons and tons of different things. And a lot of people, still believe that writing and making money through writing is hard. The truth is that making money through writing has probably never been easier, because the content creation industry is booming. The creator economy is booming. A lot of people have products they want to sell or services they want to promote, but they don't know how to write. So if you can write well, you will always find a way to make money. No matter if it's on Medium, off Medium, if it's in your own name or writing for someone or some brand. If you focus on improving your writing, you will have a skill that's really unbeatable, because people are always looking for that. People are looking to grow their LinkedIn pages. They're looking to write a regular newsletter, whatever it is. If you can write, you will be able to monetize that skill. There are so many ways to monetize your writing skills if people are actually enjoying to read what you're writing. Just keep that in mind. And if you ever feel discouraged, just focus on becoming a better writer along the way, because if then the money is the problem, you will always find a way to monetize your skills. If you're doing a good job, you will find clients who will pay you to write, no matter what exactly it is. All right, so that was the last slide. I'll have a quick look at the comments now and see what you guys have been thinking and sharing. Oh, cool. So I have a question from Martin here about the referral program. I feel like I talked about this in one of the last sessions, but I feel that's actually important, because that's another misconception. So Medium has recently enabled writers to have referral links. So if you refer someone to the Medium subscription, you're getting half of their subscription fee every month. This sounds great, but the reality is that it's not really easy to refer people, because the pages they have set up, I think, convert really poorly. They just don't really clearly articulate what people are buying. And I'm just doing nothing, to be honest. I don't recommend to use it as a major strategy. If you get subscribers who use your referral link, that's nice, but I would not focus on it. That's one of the ways Medium is trying to get more people on Medium, more readers on Medium. But I think it's not the best way, because, as a writer, I don't want to be responsible to bring people on the platform. I want to tap into the audience that's already there. So my honest recommendation is to more or less ignore it. And I feel like I know Zuli, for example, Zuli Rain has a call to action in all of her articles. She just gave it a try to see, and she definitely has more subscribers than most other people I talk to, but it's still not a relevant number of earnings. Like it's just not going to make up the majority of your earnings if you are not already earning on the platform. And I think it's really hard to get to a 3-digit earning through the referral program. So I would just ignore it, honestly. Another question about the fellowship program. I honestly have no idea. I don't think that they will do a lot that will change how people will earn or write. I don't think that it was a significant thing in the last weeks or months. I don't know, honestly. I think it was a nice encouragement, but I don't know for how many people it was a relevant number in earnings. I have no idea. I haven't thought about it. I don't think that it's relevant in the long term, or at least not relevant in terms of changing something right now. Quick question about number of articles. So how many articles should a new user target? I always recommend to write at least one post per week. That's not a ton. Like, you should be able to write one post per week, even if you have a lot of other responsibilities, if you have a full-time job, etc. It shouldn't be that dramatic to write that one post. And that's where you should start. Like, that's how you gain momentum. That's how you gain experience. The more you write, the better, but you don't have to write like one article per day or 2 articles per day, like some people say. If you need to publish an article per day to do well on Medium, we're probably doing a few things, wrong. We're probably making a lot of mistakes, because it can be easier. You don't have to write every day or publish every day to be successful on Medium. The more you write, the better. And I wrote every day in the beginning because I didn't know how to write, and it just helped me to get that practice in and to become a better writer. But that's not like the secret that a lot of people are hoping for. Okay. So, all right, I think that's actually been the major questions here. I hope this brought some clarity. I feel like there are a lot more questions that could be addressed, and I have already scheduled the next session just like this one I think it's next week. You will see it in the group, and you will receive an email if you're subscribed to my newsletter. But I hope this was helpful. Thank you for joining live. If you've watched the replay, leave a comment, share your thoughts. If you have any questions, share them in the comments section as well. I always have a look at the comments even after the live session. So that's it from my side. I hope you had a wonderful writing week. I hope you will have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the next session. Bye-bye.